I've been quoting Saint Augustine for quite some time, but I really didn't have this opportunity to read the Confessions of Saint Augustine. And so when I saw this at a bookstore, I got it. And today I started reading it. But not yet, Saint A. Not yet. I read the foreword written by Elizabeth Block. And apparently this was written in maybe 2009. And Elizabeth is somebody who was like the typical woman. She's married, and they delayed their pregnancy. They've been delaying it because they were looking for, say, freedom. And we see that nowadays, like they take the time first before they're going to open themselves into the possibility of having a baby. Maybe they're doing this sexual act, but they're not yet really that open to that possibility of life, which, if we look at marriage, that should be it should lead to that. But here comes this Elizabeth and her husband. They really had to delay, and now that her body was ticking, her body clock was ticking, she was 39, and then they were thinking, oh no. And then maybe that was the time when she read, she encountered Saint Augustine's confession that somehow made a change, made a shift in her way of thinking and her belief in her mindset on how she approaches life, that even she described, of course, influenced by Saint Augustine, that, for example, mother-child, that breastfeeding moment is not just a mother-child moment, but rather God to baby. And it's a picture of that cup runneth over. It's the mother being a vessel of God's love to a child. And it's just so profound and so beautiful. And now that she wanted to perhaps have a baby herself, themselves as a wife and a husband, and now that she was about to menopause, perhaps, and lose the possibility of pregnancy, they tried to rush, they tried to open their body into that possibility, and they kept trying and trying and trying, and nothing is happening, and trying until one day they had it. She got pregnant, unfortunately got a miscarriage, and she was devastated. But she continued to call on God, as she did. They did what they needed to do. And then one day, she found out she was pregnant. And then she was able to give birth to that baby. And as she concludes her 8th page forward, she said that my daughter is exactly 7 months old at the final inflection of this paragraph. And it was just so beautiful, a story of hope, of love. It's a different kind of confession from Elizabeth Block writing this forward. At this day and age of trying to substitute something that is maybe fleeting into something that's more timeless and lasting. And so I share that because, well, she did a great job on writing a forward, and it got me excited to go on and read the Confessions. But even before I start reading the Confessions itself of Saint Augustine, her story was a story of inspiration, and it makes me reflect on how we are going to see the truths about life as well, applying it into our present and personal circumstances. And I'm sharing this because in this day and age, even when you get married and try to delay things like that of Elizabeth Bloch, perhaps it is a reminder for us to see what's really is important, and allow God to guide us in this day and age that is filled with a lot of challenges, a lot of distractions, a lot of messages, and at times we get confused of what is really true, good, and beautiful. May we see that, the beauty that is real, the good that is lasting, and the truth that is not adulterated. Have a beautiful day. God bless.